Have you ever wondered why you give so much of yourself to everyone else, yet feel like there's nothing left for you? You spend your days answering messages, fixing problems, meeting expectations, and carrying responsibilities that never seem to end. But when you finally pause, when the noise quiets down, you realize how much of your own life has been slipping through your fingers. That hollow feeling inside is not weakness, it's a signal. A quiet whisper telling you it's time to stop pouring all your energy outward and start turning it inward. Because the truth is simple. If you never focus on yourself, you will never truly live. For too long, you've been conditioned to believe that self-focus is selfish, that putting yourself first means you're neglecting others. But here's the reality. When you're constantly drained, when your spirit is stretched thin, what do you really have to give? When your heart is tired and your mind is heavy, how can you show up fully for anyone else? Focusing on yourself is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of strength. It's an act of responsibility. It's choosing to build a solid foundation so you can rise, not collapse. Think about this. The world around you is built on distractions, notifications, opinions, comparisons. Everywhere you look, there is something trying to pull your attention away from your own growth. But every time you give in, you step further away from the life you deserve. You lose time, you lose clarity, and worst of all, you lose yourself. Yet the moment you take your focus back, everything begins to shift. The noise doesn't control you anymore. The opinions of others don't define you. The comparisons don't break you. You reclaim your energy, your direction, your purpose. This is why you must stay here, listening, watching, letting these words sink deep into your soul. Because what you're about to discover in this journey is not just motivation, it's transformation. It's the reminder that you are allowed to prioritize your growth. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to chase your dreams without apology. And when you do, something powerful happens. You start to attract the very life you once thought was out of reach. Opportunities open, relationships improve, confidence grows, all because you finally made the choice to focus on you. So let me ask you again, how much longer are you willing to wait before you decide your life matters too? How much longer will you carry the weight of everyone else while ignoring the silent cries of your own heart? This moment right here is your chance to choose differently, to put yourself back at the center of your own life, to stop existing for everyone else and start living for the person staring back at you in the mirror. Stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more you'll feel the fire inside you waking up. And when that fire rises, when you finally take back your focus, there will be no limit to what you can create, no limit to who you can become. This is where it begins, the decision to turn inward, to grow stronger, and to claim the life that has always been waiting for you. You already know the weight of giving everything to the world while leaving yourself empty. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine pouring into yourself first. Imagine what your life would feel like if your energy was no longer scattered, if your mind was clear, if your spirit felt full. Picture waking up with direction, walking with purpose, speaking with confidence, and knowing deep inside that you are no longer running on scraps. That vision is not some distant dream. It is a choice waiting for you right now, a choice to reclaim your focus and give yourself what you've been denying for far too long. The truth is, no one else will do this for you. People will take your time, they will take your attention, they will take your energy as long as you allow it. Not out of malice, but because the world is built to consume. Your phone consumes. Your job consumes. Even your relationships without balance consume. And if you don't draw the line, if you don't protect your own focus, you will look back one day and wonder where your life went. That regret is heavier than any temporary discomfort of saying no. That regret is heavier than any fear of disappointing others. And it is a kind of weight you cannot afford to carry. When you decide to focus on yourself, you begin to understand something powerful. You are not here to live up to everyone else's expectations. You are here to live in alignment with your own truth. That shift changes everything. It gives you permission to walk away from things that drain you, to silence voices that belittle you, to release habits that keep you small. And in that release, you make space for growth. You make space for healing. You make space for strength to rise inside you. Think about how much energy you've wasted comparing yourself to others, chasing validation, trying to keep up with standards that were never meant for you. Every ounce of that energy could have been used to build your dreams, sharpen your skills, fuel your health, and strengthen your soul. That is the power of focus. It is not just about removing distractions. It is about directing your life force toward the things that actually matter. And when you do, progress becomes inevitable. Growth becomes natural. Confidence becomes unshakable. You may fear that if you focus on yourself, people will misunderstand you. They will say you've changed. They will say you've pulled away. They will try to guilt you into going back to the old version of yourself. Let them talk, because what they are really saying is that your growth makes them uncomfortable. Do not shrink for anyone. Do not dim your light to fit into the shadows they're stuck in. Your responsibility is not to keep everyone comfortable. Your responsibility is to rise, to expand, to evolve into the strongest version of yourself. And here's the reward. The more you focus inward, the more your outer world improves. Health transforms, relationships deepen, opportunities multiply, people respect the boundaries you enforce. The life you once thought was impossible begins to take shape. Not because you chased it, but because you became the kind of person who attracts it. This is the unseen magic of focus. It is not about isolating yourself. It is about finding yourself. It is about claiming your power and stepping into a life designed by intention, not accident. So ask yourself now, are you willing to pay the price of staying scattered, or will you finally choose a reward of alignment? Because the moment you commit to yourself fully, the world opens in ways you cannot yet imagine. When you begin to direct your energy inward, something remarkable happens. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for someone to validate you, to approve of your choices, to tell you it's okay to become who you've always wanted to be. That endless waiting has been one of the greatest thieves of your life, waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right circumstances. But the right time has never been about the calendar. It has always been about a decision. The decision to no longer postpone yourself, the decision to stop standing at the edge of your own potential and finally step forward. Every moment you hesitate, every moment you doubt, you feed the illusion that you are not ready. But readiness is not something you stumble upon. It is something you build day by day, through courage, through action, through self-focus. The more you give yourself attention, the more prepared you become. Because when you strengthen your mind, when you nurture your body, when you sharpen your spirit, life bends in your favor. Challenges don't disappear, but you are no longer shaken by them. Obstacles don't vanish, but you no longer crumble in front of them. You rise because you have built yourself from the inside out. Understand this deeply. No external achievement can replace the fulfillment of inner growth. You can chase recognition, you can chase wealth, you can chase approval, but if you neglect yourself, every victory will feel hollow. Success without self-respect is empty. Accomplishment without inner peace is fragile. This is why focusing on yourself is the foundation of everything lasting. It's not about running away from the world. It's about preparing yourself to meet the world with strength, clarity, and resilience. Ask yourself, who are you becoming each day? Not what title you hold, not how many likes you get, not how much money you make. Who are you becoming when no one is watching? That is the measure of a life well lived. Because who you are in private determines the power you carry in public. The habits you build in silence shape the victories you celebrate in the open. And the focus you give to yourself when no one notices creates the strength that others will one day admire. You must stop measuring your life by how much you do for others and start measuring it by how deeply you are becoming yourself. That is not arrogance. That is truth. Because when you are rooted, when you are strong, when you are whole, everything you touch benefits. You love more deeply. You create more powerfully. You give more authentically. You become a source of light, not because you forced yourself to, but because you cultivated it within. The choice before you is simple. Keep waiting for a perfect moment that will never come, or declare that this is the moment. The moment to turn your gaze inward. The moment to plant seeds of discipline, of self-love, of courage, and watch them grow. Nothing changes until you change. Nothing improves until you commit. But when you do, when you decide to finally focus on yourself with the intensity your life deserves, the transformation will not just be seen by you. It will be felt by everyone around you. You will become undeniable. The strength you are searching for is already within you, but it has been buried under layers of doubt, distraction, and dependence on external approval. You have been taught to look outward for answers, to measure your worth by what others think, to shape your identity around roles and expectations that were never truly yours. That is why you feel the pull to return to yourself, Because deep down, you know the life you desire cannot be built on a foundation designed by someone else. It must be built on the unshakable ground of your own focus. Focusing on yourself means daring to strip away everything that doesn't belong to you. It means questioning the habits that keep you stagnant. It means recognizing the people who drain you more than they lift you and having the courage to step back. It means asking, with radical honesty, what do I really want? Not what I was told to want, not what looks good on the surface, but what my soul actually craves. Most people never dare to face that question because the answer requires change. And change feels uncomfortable, but discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is a signal of growth. It is proof that you are stepping into the unfamiliar territory where real transformation happens. The greatest shift occurs when you stop being afraid of solitude, when you stop fearing the silence that comes when the noise of others fades. In that silence, you meet yourself. You meet the unfiltered version of who you are. And while at first it may feel lonely, it is in that space that your strength awakens. Because only in stillness can you see clearly. Only in stillness can you hear your own voice without interruption. Only in stillness can you begin to rebuild yourself with intention. The world will try to convince you that busyness is the same as progress, that constant movement means you're going somewhere. But you know the truth, many people are running in circles, burning themselves out, never arriving anywhere meaningful. Focus is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters. It is about aligning your actions with your values. It is about creating a life that feels like it belongs to you, not one that is borrowed from the pressures of others. Every time you choose yourself, you strengthen a muscle that has long been neglected, the muscle of self-respect, the muscle of self-trust, the muscle of discipline. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Soon, the things that once felt impossible begin to feel natural. The boundaries you struggle to enforce become non-negotiable. The goals that seem distant begin to move closer. Because you are no longer scattering your energy, you are channeling it with precision. And with that precision comes power. Power to walk away from what does not serve you. Power to pursue the path that excites you, even if no one else understands. Power to endure the storms of life without losing yourself in them. That kind of power cannot be given by anyone else. It is earned through relentless focus on your own growth. And once you have it, no one can take it from you. So let this truth settle deep inside you. Focusing on yourself is not about isolation. It is about liberation. It is the key that unlocks the life you were always meant to live. The more you commit to it, the more you will rise into the person you know you are capable of becoming. The moment you begin to prioritize yourself, resistance will rise. You will feel it in the doubts that creep into your mind, whispering that you're not ready. You will feel it in the fear of judgment, the worry about what others might say, the discomfort of stepping outside the identity you worn for so long. That resistance is not a signal to stop. It is proof that you are on the edge of change. Growth has always lived on the other side of discomfort. And the more you push through, the more unstoppable you become. Your mind is powerful, but it has been conditioned to protect you from risk, to keep you safe in the familiar, safe in routines that drain you, safe in patterns that hold you back, safe in environments that no longer match your potential. But safety is not the same as fulfillment. Safety is not the same as freedom. And if you keep choosing comfort, you will keep sacrificing possibility. The pain of growth lasts for a moment, but the pain of regret will echo for a lifetime. You must choose which one you are willing to carry. Every great transformation begins with a single decision, the decision to no longer abandon yourself, to no longer silence your desires just to fit in, to no longer shrink your dreams because they make others uncomfortable, to no longer waste your energy proving your worth to those who refuse to see it. The moment you make that decision, even before results appear, something shifts within you. You begin to stand taller. You begin to breathe deeper. You begin to feel alive in a way you may have forgotten. The world responds differently to someone who values themselves. People notice when you walk with conviction. They notice when your energy is no longer scattered. They notice when you no longer apologize for existing. And while some will resist your change, many will be drawn to it because confidence is magnetic. Purpose is magnetic. Discipline is magnetic. When you focus on yourself, you radiate a strength that cannot be faked, and others are inspired to rise with you. Still, the greatest reward is not how the world reacts. It is how you feel within yourself. Imagine the peace of looking in the mirror and recognizing the person staring back at you. Imagine waking up with clarity instead of confusion, strength instead of hesitation, direction instead of distraction. That peace is priceless. That clarity is power. And it comes from the simple but radical act of honoring yourself daily. The discipline to care for your body, the courage to protect your mind, the patience to grow your skills, the compassion to forgive yourself when you stumble. These are not luxuries. They are essentials. They are the foundation of a life that thrives, not survives. The more consistently you give yourself this focus, the more your inner world strengthens. And when your inner world is strong, nothing in the outer world can break you. You have carried everyone else's burdens long enough. You have lived by rules that were never yours long enough. It is time to lay down the weight of pleasing, performing, and pretending. It is time to rise with the strength that comes only when you choose yourself without hesitation. Because when you do, you will no longer be at the mercy of life. You will be the creator of it. The life you are dreaming of will not be handed to you. It must be built. And the material you build with is not luck, not chance, not what others give you. It is the daily choice to direct your focus inward, to sharpen yourself, to commit to growth, even when no one is watching. Every decision you make is a brick. Every habit you practice is a layer. Every boundary you set is a wall of protection. And piece by piece, you construct a future that once felt unreachable. What feels impossible today becomes inevitable when you learn to master your focus. But here is the truth most people run from. Mastery requires sacrifice. You cannot build a life of strength while clinging to weakness. You cannot create clarity while surrounding yourself with noise. You cannot step into greatness while holding on to the comfort of mediocrity. To focus on yourself means letting go of the distractions that steal your time, letting go of the voices that fill you with doubt, letting go of the habits that slowly poison your potential. It is not easy, but it is necessary. And when you choose necessity over comfort, you separate yourself from the majority who will always choose the easier path. Understand this clearly. The world rewards those who dare to discipline themselves, not because the world is kind, but because discipline shapes you into someone who cannot be ignored. Discipline builds strength. Discipline creates consistency. Discipline transforms effort into results. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are telling yourself, I am worth it. That belief becomes unshakable, and it radiates into everything you do. There will be days when focus feels heavy, days when the temptation to give in, to fall back into old patterns, will scream louder than your vision. But those are the days that define you. Those are the days that separate the ones who merely dream from the ones who rise. You must remember in those moments that temporary relief is not worth permanent regret, that the satisfaction of staying comfortable will never compare to the pride of breaking through. Your mind is stronger than you realize. Science has proven that focus reshapes the brain, that consistency rewires your habits, that discipline strengthens your willpower like a muscle. This is not abstract, it is real. Every time you choose yourself, you are literally rewiring your future. You are creating a version of yourself who can withstand storms, who can command opportunities, who can walk into any room with certainty. And all of it starts with the decision to focus inward, again and again, until it becomes who you are. Think about how powerful your life becomes when you are no longer pulled in every direction, when your energy is no longer wasted on things that do not matter, when every action moves you closer to the life you want. That kind of focus is rare, and that is why it is so powerful. It sets you apart. It makes you unstoppable. And once you experience it, once you taste what it feels like to truly live with clarity, you will never again settle for the chaos of distraction. The future is not waiting. It is being shaped by the choices you make today. And the most important choice you can make is to invest your attention, your energy, and your heart into yourself. Because when you do, you will not only change your life, you will transform it beyond recognition. There will always be voices trying to convince you that focusing on yourself is wrong. They will call it selfish. They will label it arrogance. They will try to shame you back into a version of yourself that keeps them comfortable. But the truth is clear. People who fear your growth will always disguise their fear as criticism. They want you to remain the same because your change exposes their stagnation. Do not let their words chain you down. Do not let their doubt become your prison. The moment you stop seeking their approval, you unlock a freedom they may never understand. When you reclaim your focus, you begin to see how much of your life has been built on the expectations of others. You notice how often you said yes when you wanted to say no. You notice how many times you ignored your own needs just to keep peace. You notice how many dreams you buried because someone else didn't believe in them. That awareness is painful, but it is also powerful. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. You can no longer pretend. You don't deserve better. And that realization is the spark that ignites true change. Focusing on yourself is an act of courage because it requires you to break patterns that have kept you small for years. It requires you to face the discomfort of people pulling away, of relationships shifting, of old identities falling apart. But what you gain in return is worth more than anything you lose. You gain authenticity. You gain respect. You gain the unshakable confidence that comes from living life on your own terms. That trade is priceless. The greatest power you can ever hold is self-respect. When you respect yourself enough to focus on your growth, your energy shifts. You no longer chase what doesn't value you. You no longer tolerate what drains you. You no longer bend yourself into shapes that don't fit your spirit. That kind of respect is magnetic. It attracts opportunities, it attracts strength, it attracts the kind of people who honor who you truly are. The world begins to align with the energy you radiate. This is why your focus is not a luxury. It is survival. Without it, you drift through life, reacting instead of creating, existing instead of living. With it, you step into a different dimension of possibility. You stop being tossed around by circumstances and begin steering the course of your destiny. And the truth is, no one can do this for you. Not your friends, not your family, not your mentors. Only you can decide to rise. Only you can decide to focus. Only you can choose to step into the life waiting for you. The transformation you seek does not happen overnight, but every decision compounds. Every boundary enforced strengthens you. Every habit practice builds you. Every moment of clarity pulls you closer to the person you know you were meant to become. This is not about chasing perfection. It is about committing to progress. It is about waking up each day and saying, I matter enough to give myself my best. And when you live that truth, when you embody that focus, life cannot remain the same. You will outgrow the cages that once held you. You will rise beyond the limits that once defined you. And you will finally step into the freedom that has always been yours to claim. The moment you fully commit to yourself, you realize how much power you have been giving away. Every distraction, every compromise, every time you ignored your inner voice, it all chipped away at your strength. But now you see clearly that your life expands in direct proportion to how much focus you claim back. When your energy is no longer scattered, your potential becomes unstoppable. You are no longer drifting, you are directing. And that shift changes everything. You cannot rise while living half invested in yourself. You cannot create a powerful life with fragments of attention. Half focus builds half results, and half results leave you half alive. To transform, you must go all in. You must decide that your dreams are not optional, your growth is not negotiable, and your well-being is not secondary. That decision alone separates you from the majority who will spend their lives waiting for motivation, waiting for luck, waiting for someone else to save them. But you are not here to wait, you are here to act. Action is where focus takes form. It is not enough to think about becoming better. It is not enough to imagine change. You must back your vision with movement. Each small step compounds, each disciplined choice builds momentum, and each day you show up for yourself, the gap between who you are and who you want to be begins to close. Momentum is the reward of consistent focus, and once you feel it, it becomes nearly impossible to stop. But do not confuse focus with perfection. You will stumble. You will have days when your energy falters, when distractions pull harder, when the weight feels too heavy. Those moments are not signs of weakness. They are the very opportunities that strengthen you, because every time you fall and rise again, you prove to yourself that your commitment is real. Failure is not the end. It is fuel. It is the sharpening stone that forges resilience. And resilience is what carries you further than talent, luck, or timing ever could. There is a freedom that only comes from trusting yourself, from knowing that no matter what storms hit, no matter how chaotic life becomes, you can rely on your own strength. That freedom is born from focus because when you pour into yourself, you build a foundation that nothing can shake. You become centered, grounded, powerful. And when the world tries to pull you apart, you remain whole. Think of the weight you've been carrying, the years of spreading yourself thin, the exhaustion of constantly being everything for everyone else. That weight is not your destiny. You are not meant to live depleted. You are meant to live aligned, energized, and unafraid. The doorway to that life is self-focus, and the key is already in your hands. All it takes is the courage to turn it, to walk through, and to never look back. Every great life is built on this truth. Transformation begins within. And the moment you decide that you are worth your own focus, you stop living as a shadow of yourself. You stop existing in fragments. You rise whole. You rise powerful. You rise ready to create the life you were always capable of living. The path of focusing on yourself is not about isolating from the world. It is about preparing to face it with unshakable strength. When you are whole within, you no longer bend under pressure. You no longer chase validation like a shadow you can never catch. You no longer crumble when things don't go as planned. Instead, you stand steady. You stand certain. You stand in a place of power that cannot be shaken by circumstance. That is the reward of building yourself from the inside out. You become untouchable. Most people live on autopilot. They repeat the same routines, think the same thoughts, and expect their lives to change. But nothing new can grow in the soil of old habits. Change demands intention, growth demands choice. And the choice to focus inward is the most revolutionary act you can take. It is the reset button that clears out distraction, breaks old patterns, and makes room for the life you are meant to create. Without that choice, you are a passenger. With it, you are the driver. Clarity is born when you silence the noise, when you stop looking for answers outside and start searching within. You uncover truths that have always been there. You realize what matters to you, not what matters to the crowd, not what matters to the critics, but what matters to your soul. That clarity becomes your compass. It tells you where to go, what to cut out, and what to fight for. But once you have a compass, you no longer waste time wandering. You move with direction. You move with purpose. You move with conviction. This is why self-focus is not selfish. It is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to the world, because when you are strong, you elevate everything you touch. When you are clear, you bring light into confusion. When you are confident, you show others what is possible. The people who benefit most from your growth are the ones around you. But none of that is possible if you neglect yourself, if you abandon your own needs, if you live as a shell instead of a whole being. There will always be distractions trying to steal your focus. There will always be opinions trying to pull you off course. There will always be obstacles designed to test your strength. But the person who chooses themselves over and over again becomes unbreakable. The person who refuses to lose focus, no matter how loud the world gets, is the one who wins. Not because the path is easier for them, but because they refuse to abandon it. Imagine a life waiting for you on the other side of this discipline. A life where your actions align with your values. A life where you wake with clarity, move with intention, and rest with peace. A life where you no longer question your worth because you live it every single day. That life is not fantasy. It is a reflection of what happens when you take your focus seriously. Every step you take inward strengthens your foundation. Every boundary you honor protects your energy. Every decision to grow makes you more resilient. And as you build, you rise higher than doubt, higher than fear, higher than the limits that once confined you. The power has always been within you. It is only waiting for your focus to bring it to life. The discipline of focusing on yourself teaches you something few ever discover, that fulfillment is not found in chasing more, but in aligning deeper. More possessions will not silence emptiness. More recognition will not erase insecurity. More approval will not create peace. True fulfillment comes when your actions, your values, and your inner truth finally align. That alignment is the deepest form of freedom, because it means you are no longer torn between who you are and who you pretend to be. You live as one whole, unbroken self. And when you reach that state, life takes on a power and a clarity that feels unstoppable. But alignment demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. You must face the ways you betrayed yourself, times when you stayed silent to keep the peace, when you lowered your standards just to belong, when you ignored your intuition because fear spoke louder. These moments do not define you, but they do teach you. They show you the cost of abandoning yourself. They remind you that every time you trade authenticity for approval, you lose a piece of your strength. The decision to focus inward is the decision to stop that cycle, to no longer fragment yourself for anyone or anything, to live whole, even if that wholeness makes others uncomfortable. When you focus on yourself, your confidence shifts from something fragile into something unshakable. Confidence built on looks, status, or validation can be taken away in an instant. But confidence built on discipline, self-respect, and alignment cannot be touched. It is a fire that burns from within. It does not flicker when criticized. It does not collapse when challenged. It grows stronger the more it is tested. That is the confidence you gain when you choose yourself without hesitation. And the beauty of it is this: when you rise into your own power, you give silent permission for others to do the same. Without even speaking, your presence becomes a message. People see the way you carry yourself, the way you value your time, the way you honor your boundaries, and they feel the strength radiating from you. Many will be inspired, some will resist, but none will be able to deny the truth of your growth. That is the influence of focus. It doesn't just transform you, it transforms the energy around you. The life you want will always demand a version of you that cannot be built through distraction. It requires clarity. It requires resilience. It requires the courage to step away from everything that weakens you and to walk toward everything that strengthens you, no matter how difficult. This is not punishment. This is preparation. Every disciplined choice is a brick in the foundation of your future. Every boundary enforced is a shield protecting your energy. Every act of self-respect is a declaration of the life you refuse to live and the one you are determined to create. And once you taste the strength of alignment, once you feel what it's like to live whole and undivided, you will never go back to the scattered version of yourself. You will no longer crave the noise because silence will feel like power. You will no longer beg for validation because self-respect will feel like abundance. You will no longer fear being alone because you will realize you are never alone. You are complete within yourself. That is the reward of focus. That is the life you are building, piece by piece, choice by choice, moment by moment. The moment you choose alignment, distractions begin to lose their grip on you. The things that once consumed your energy, comparison, overthinking, doubt, no longer have the same power. You start to see them for what they really are: traps designed to keep you small, invisible barriers built from fear and insecurity. And as your focus grows, you realize that those barriers were never stronger than you. They only lived as long as you fed them. The day you stop feeding them is the day you break free. Your attention is the most valuable currency you own. Wherever it goes, your life follows. If you spend it on negativity, your world darkens. If you spend it on distraction, your growth stalls. But if you invest it in yourself, your health, your discipline, your purpose, your life expands beyond recognition. This is why self-focus is non-negotiable. It is the steering wheel of your future. Without it, you drift. With it, you rise. Every choice you make with intention is a declaration that your life matters, that your time matters, that you matter. Do not underestimate the strength that comes from reclaiming your energy. Every moment you stop giving to what drains you, you gain more power to give to what builds you. That power compounds day by day. It reshapes how you think, how you act, and how you live. Soon, you find yourself no longer chasing distractions, but chasing purpose. No longer clinging to approval, but standing in certainty. No longer settling for survival, but demanding growth. That shift is what separates those who simply exist from those who truly live. The world will always test your focus. It will tempt you with shortcuts. It will bait you with comfort. It will pressure you to conform. But you were not created to live at the level of comfort. You were created to live at the level of courage. Comfort dulls your spirit. Courage sharpens it. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you expand what's possible for you. That expansion is the essence of transformation. It is how ordinary lives become extraordinary. But understand this: no one can walk this path for you. People may cheer for you. People may support you. But the decision to focus is yours alone. It is built in the quiet choices no one sees. The early mornings you choose discipline. The late nights you choose growth. The moments of temptation where you choose your vision instead of your weakness. Those choices stack. They become your identity. They forge the person you were meant to become. And once that identity takes root, everything changes. You no longer need to force motivation because discipline carries you. You no longer need to beg for validation because self-respect sustains you. You no longer feel lost because focus gives you direction. You begin to walk with a sense of power that cannot be faked, a calm certainty that you are building something unshakable. That is what happens when you stop scattering your energy and start investing it where it matters most. The life you are capable of is closer than you think. It is not waiting on luck. It is not waiting on timing. It is waiting on your decision to stop feeding distractions and start feeding yourself. The moment you fully commit, the world within you shifts, and the world outside you will have no choice but to follow. Greatness begins in the unseen. It begins in the hours when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when no one is there to validate your effort. It begins in silence, in the discipline of choosing progress over comfort, consistency over excuses, vision over distraction. This is the sacred space where character is built. And the truth is, most people never enter it because it feels too lonely, too demanding, too uncertain. But those who do, those who have the courage to stay with themselves long enough to grow, are the ones who break through limits others thought were impossible. When you focus on yourself, you begin to see that your greatest competition is not someone outside of you. It is not a rival, a critic, or an enemy. Your greatest competition has always been the weaker version of yourself, the one that hesitates, the one that gives up, the one that settles. That version of you is persistent. It will try to pull you back every time you push forward. It will whisper that comfort is safer, that average is easier, that you are not ready. And every time you silence that voice and choose strength over weakness, you are winning battles most people never fight. The journey demands endurance, not just physical endurance, but mental endurance, the strength to hold on when progress feels slow, the patience to keep building when results haven't shown yet, the resilience to rise when setbacks hit harder than expected. The world will always glorify the moment of success, but the truth is success is nothing more than the visible outcome of invisible endurance. And that endurance is built one choice at a time in the moments you feel like quitting but keep moving anyway. This is why focus is so vital. Without it, you are swayed by every distraction, every setback, every voice of doubt. But with it, you become immovable. You learn to trust the process even when it tests you. You learn to embrace the struggle because you understand that growth is supposed to be uncomfortable. You learn to keep your eyes on your vision even when the present feels heavy. And over time, that level of focus transforms you into someone unstoppable, not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. There will be days when doubt tries to convince you that your efforts don't matter. There will be moments when exhaustion tells you to quit, but those are the very moments when your future is being decided. Every time you keep going despite resistance, you are carving out a new identity. Every time you stay disciplined when it would be easier to give in, you are rewriting your destiny. This is how transformation happens, not in one grand moment, but in thousands of small victories stacked on top of each other. The truth is, you already have everything you need inside you. The strength, the courage, the resilience, it's there. It has always been there, but it is unlocked only through focus. Only when you direct your energy inward, cut away the noise and decide to show up for yourself no matter what, do you discover just how powerful you really are. And when that discovery happens, when you see your own potential staring back at you, you realize that nothing can stop you except the decision to quit. And you are not here to quit, you are here to rise. Every moment you choose yourself, you strengthen the foundation of the life you are building. And the truth is, that foundation matters more than anything visible on the surface. A skyscraper is only as strong as its base, and a life of greatness is only as unshakable as the self-respect it's built on. Too many collapse under pressure because they build their identity on the fragile approval of others, on temporary recognition, on fleeting comfort. But when you build on discipline, on focus, on inner strength, you create a foundation that cannot be broken. Storms may come, but you stand tall. Pressure may mount, but you do not crumble. The power of self-focus is that it strips away illusions. It forces you to confront the parts of your life that are weak, dishonest, or out of alignment. At first, this confrontation feels uncomfortable, even painful, but growth demands that you face what is real. You cannot transform what you refuse to see. Every time you acknowledge your flaws, every time you take ownership of your choices, you gain power, because ownership is freedom. Ownership means you are no longer at the mercy of excuses. Ownership means your life is in your hands, not anyone else's. The world wants to distract you with noise to keep you chasing everything outside of yourself so you never realize the strength within. It thrives when you are unfocused, when your mind is scattered, when your energy is wasted. But the moment you pull your focus back inward, the game changes. Suddenly you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. You stop begging for direction and start walking with clarity. This shift is not small, it is everything. It is the difference between drifting through life and leading your life. And the greatest truth of all is that leadership begins with self-leadership. Before you can guide others, you must learn to guide yourself. Before you can inspire others, you must learn to inspire yourself. Before you can demand discipline from the world, you must demand it from your own mind and body. That is the essence of focus. Mastering yourself first so that everything you touch carries the strength of your alignment. When you rise in this way, you don't just change your life, you become a force that elevates the world around you. But never forget, this path is not supposed to feel easy. Ease never creates depth. Ease never builds resilience. Ease never teaches strength. The weight you feel when you focus inward is the very pressure shaping you into something greater. The discomfort you feel when you push through distractions is the resistance molding you into someone unshakable. Do not run from that weight. Do not fear that pressure. It is not breaking you. It is building you. And when you emerge from that process, when you have endured the weight and stayed loyal to yourself, you will carry a confidence no one can give and no one can take away. A quiet certainty, a steady fire, a presence that speaks louder than words. That is what self-focus creates. That is what you are capable of. And once you have it, the world will no longer dictate your value because you will finally know it for yourself. The strength you build through focus does more than change how you see yourself. It changes how you see the world. Suddenly, the same challenges that once felt impossible now feel like opportunities to prove your power. The same setbacks that used to break you now fuel your determination. The same voices of doubt that once silenced you now remind you how far you've come. When your focus sharpens, your perspective transforms, and when your perspective transforms, nothing external can dictate your destiny. This shift is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the person you were always meant to be, the version of you buried under fear, distraction, and the weight of other people's expectations. Deep down, you already know that version exists. You feel it when you dream of more. You feel it when your heart aches for change. You feel it when you catch yourself imagine a life that feels bigger, bolder, freer.